You wake to a world that never shuts up. Horns blur into headlines, fingers flick past outrage, opinions pile up like billboards, each shouting louder than the last. Your screen buzzes, your mind splits. The day hasn't even started, and you're already exhausted by 1,000 voices that aren't yours. Focus, and you can hear it. The small, stubborn sound inside you that wants more. Wait. Feel that impulse to defend yourself, to explain your plans, to post your intentions so people will finally understand you. But what if understanding isn't the goal? What if the goal is building a life that explains itself? You reach for your phone, the noise surges again, DMS mentions, invitations to debate with strangers. You hover over every app that owns your attention, then slowly you press and hold and drag each one into the quiet. Do not disturb slides on like a velvet curtain. The room exhales, your shoulders drop. The city outside keeps roaring, but here in the circle of your desk lamp, you build a private island. You light the smallest candle of discipline. Notifications off, intention on. You write 3 words on a blank page. Today I build, not to announce, not to argue, to work. Silence isn't weakness, it's focus. It's choosing depth over noise, substance over show, results over reactions. And in the next 40 minutes, I will hand you a plan to build a quiet life that speaks loudly. A step-by-step operating system for your mornings, your messages, your energy, and your proof. We'll name the traps that steal your attention. We'll give you a create-first ritual that rewires your momentum. We'll use silence like a blade, precise, calm, and honest. By the time the sun is fully up, you'll no longer need to convince anyone of who you are becoming. Your work will do the talking. Less talk, more proof. That is the promise. That is the path. And it starts right now. Here's the thesis that will hold everything together. Focus on yourself means your attention is an investment, not a tip jar. It means you decide where your mind goes. You protect it with boundaries that don't need apologies, and you transform that protected attention into consistent output. Not perfect output, consistent output. Stay silent doesn't mean you hide, ghost, or avoid hard conversations. It means you speak less and say more. You trade explanations for evidence. You quit defending your plans to people who haven't earned that access and instead deliver the thing the plan was designed to create. Strategic silence is choosing a calm, clear, thanks for the feedback while you keep building the prototype you promised yourself. Passive avoidance is pretending a problem isn't there and calling it peace. Strategic silence is telling a friend, I won't be as active online this month, I'm finishing my certification, and then actually finishing it. Passive avoidance is disappearing, dodging calls, letting deadlines rot, and hoping people just get it. One protects your focus while honoring your commitments. The other leaks integrity while pretending to be wise. The difference is simple. Strategic silence delivers proof. Avoidance delivers excuses. So, 2 paths, same city, same time, different music. Path 1 is a noisy talker. They wake up, open the app, and post a quote about rising and grinding. They add a paragraph about how this is their year and how the haters will see. Their stories are a carousel of ambition, polished, motivational, heavy on the promise. They check the views, they check again. A comment stings, so they reply. 10 minutes become 30, now an hour. The day is already sliced into thin strips of reaction. They bounce between tabs, reply threads, and a to-do list that feels like confetti. Every night they sleep under the glow of a phone screen that says, tomorrow. Path 2 is a quiet builder. No announcement, just a morning ritual. Headphones, 1 playlist, 1 file. They start with the unglamorous part, the foundation. It's ugly at first. They keep going. They forget to post because they're busy making something post-worthy. They don't argue with strangers, they argue with drafts. In the afternoon, while the noisy talker circles a thread about best productivity hacks, the quiet builder ships a small version, then learns from it, then iterates. Their stories are short. A progress snapshot, a shipped link, a done for today. They sleep under darkness that belongs to them. 6 months later, the split screen tells the truth. The noisy talker is still explaining the greatness that's coming. Their bio is updated, their banner refreshed, their new pinned post is big things loading. They feel tired and strangely invisible because the crowd that clapped for the trailer never showed up for the movie. The quiet builder's world looks quieter and louder, fewer posts, more products, not flashy but undeniably real. A certificate framed on the wall, a healthier body in the mirror, a portfolio that used to be a wish list. Their circle is smaller, warmer, and full of people who show up because the work called them. The moral isn't cruel, it's clarifying. Explanations fade, evidence remains. If you feel scattered, it isn't because you're weak. It's because we live in an economy where your attention is the product and reaction is the currency. The cost of that reaction is what I call the focus tax. Pay it often enough and your identity goes broke. Here's how it drains you. First scenario, the instant reply expectation. A message arrives and you obey the ping. You stop mid-task to respond. It seems harmless. Hidden cost, you shred your momentum. Your brain has to reboot the original task. And that switch fee can eat 20 minutes of deep focus. Pay that 3 times a morning and your best hours are gone. Second scenario, the comparison loop. You open one app just to check, and now you're measuring your day against highlight reels. Hidden cost, your standards warp. You lose the joy of your lane. You make choices to impress the imaginary audience instead of serving the real work in front of you. That drift is expensive. It trades long-term mastery for short-term applause. Third scenario, defending your plans online. You announce a goal, someone doubts, and you start a debate. Hidden cost, you become a spokesperson for a reality that doesn't exist yet. You spend the fuel you need to build on convincing others you'll build. Energy misallocated is progress delayed. So, what if you kept that energy? What if you refused the tax? Silence, used correctly, is a system. Think of it as 6 pillars that spell S-I-L-E-N-T. Each one a lever you can pull today. Selective speech is the art of choosing when words earn their keep. You don't narrate the seed, you water the soil. You say less in the meeting, then deliver more after it. Micro-action. Pick one conversation you would normally enter and practice the Grey Rock version. Neutral, brief, kind, then return to the task that matters. Internal clarity is sacred time with your thoughts before the world tells you how to feel. 10 minutes of journaling can save you 10 hours of confusion. Ask yourself 3 questions. What matters today? What matters this quarter? What noise will try to steal it? Micro action. Fill 1 page this morning with messy, honest sentences. No aesthetic, just truth.
Limits and boundaries are the fences that keep your best work grazing where it grows. You decide your availability instead of renting it out by the minute. You set a daily creation window and protect it like an appointment with your future. Micro action. Choose a 2-hour block this week that becomes non-negotiable. And tell the one person who needs to know. Evidence-first communication means your updates arrive with receipts. Instead of declaring, "I'm building a course," you share a screenshot of the outline, then the first module, then the launch date. You skip the TED Talk and send the prototype. Micro-action, write a 1-paragraph status that contains proof, not promises, and send it only to stakeholders who need it. Noise reduction is digital hygiene with teeth. Fewer inputs, stronger signal. You curate who and what enters your mind the way an athlete curates what enters their body. Micro-action. Delete 1 app, mute 5 accounts, unsubscribe from 3 newsletters. Clean your mental diet until the quiet feels like oxygen. Timed responses are delay by design. Your phone can ring, your focus doesn't have to answer. You allow 30 minutes at set times for replies, and you teach your circles that you're reliable, not available. Micro-action. Set a 30-minute window this afternoon for messages, then let everything else wait. If it's urgent, they will call. If it's not, your work wins. Now we turn SILENT into daily rhythm with the FOCUS method. 5 habits that turn intention into output. You filter inputs because a mind is not a dumpster. You choose 3 primary sources per day, maybe a great book, 1 mentor, 1 data set, and you shut the door on everything else. That's not ignorance, that's stewardship. You own your lane by picking 1 primary skill for the season, not forever, for now. You put your name on the craft the way a carpenter signs the underside of a table. No one sees it, but you know it's there. You create before you consume. The first 60 to 90 minutes belong to original work. Pages written, code committed, reps completed, lessons recorded. Your brain is fresh. Spend it on your future, not other people's opinions. You carve 2 50-minute deep work blocks later in the day, protected by breaks that reset your body and eyes. You speak deliberately by letting your shipped work deliver your status report. When you do speak, it's simple and honest. It's shipped. It's improved. It's done. Morning checkpoint. Wake, breathe, write a short intention, then build 1 meaningful brick before the world wakes with you. Midday checkpoint. Check inputs you've pre-approved, handle replies in your window, complete 1 deep work block while your energy is still strong. Evening checkpoint, review inputs, log outputs, and plan tomorrow's top 3. If you slip, and you will, don't perform guilt, perform recovery. Shrink the next action to something embarrassingly small and do it within 5 minutes. Silence the shame with motion. The goal isn't streaks, the goal is returning faster. We anchor it all with a 30-day quiet growth protocol that feels like monk mode without the monastery. Every day you create first for 90 minutes, drill one skill for 30, and spend 10 minutes journaling what you learned. You honor 3 rules. You don't feed debates, you delay non-urgent replies by 24 hours, and you limit social media to 20 minutes total. 1 weekly walk in silence. 1 long read that stretches your attention. 1 progress share that is proof only. A screenshot, a link, a before and after. Week 1 is stabilization. You are learning how your attention behaves when it's finally under your leadership. Your drills are basic and honest. If you're a writer, you practice opening paragraphs. If you're a developer, you rebuild a simple app. If you're a student, you rewrite notes into your own words. Reflection prompt. Where did my focus leak and what boundary would have saved it? Keep your share small. A single page, a tiny feature, a solved problem. Week 2 is structure. You tighten your morning ritual so it begins even when you don't feel like it. You add 1 deep work block in the afternoon and protect it with a break that includes water, breathing, and 3 minutes of light movement. Your long read is something dense enough to chew. You notice that your need to post about it softens because your day finally tastes like progress. Reflection prompt. What input fed me and what input fed anxiety? Proof share, a short demo, a paragraph that didn't exist last week, a micro PR that made someone else's day easier. Week 3 is expansion. You keep the rules and widen your capacity. Skill drills become a little more uncomfortable. Longer intervals, tougher problems. Your silent walk starts as 15 minutes and stretches toward 30. You experiment with a no phone in the first hour policy and your mornings bloom. You may feel the urge to tell everyone how good this is. Smile. Then write it down for yourself. Reflection prompt. What can I do now that I couldn't do 2 weeks ago? Proof share, a finished module, a functioning feature, a practice test with your score and your plan to improve. Week 4 is integration. You no longer negotiate with the basics. They are furniture now. You set a date for something public, an upload, a portfolio update, a demo day with friends, and you let that date create just enough pressure to finish well. You keep your reply delays. You honor your social limit. You take the silent walk without headphones and notice how many answers show up when you stop begging your phone to provide them. Reflection prompt. What part of this month will I keep for the next 90 days and what will I retire? Proof share. The thing you came here to build. Not perfect. Real. People and pressure arrive right on schedule. This is where silence becomes strength. When someone tries to bait you into a fight about your goals, you say, I appreciate the concern. I'm heads down right now. You'll see the results soon. When gossip knocks, you reply, I don't have anything to add. I'm focused on my work, and then change the subject to something generous. When criticism arrives as a drive-by comment, you type, thanks for the note, logging it, and resist the urge to explain your entire strategy to a stranger. When a friend wants your instant reply during your deep work block, you send, in a focus window, I'll circle back at 5, and you do. Because reliability beats availability. When someone asks for your 5-year plan at a party, you smile, working the next right brick, happy to show you what's shipped, and you pivot to asking them a sincere question. When you need to set the no defense rule with someone you love, you take a breath and say, I'm excited about this path. I'm not taking feedback right now. I'll show you the work when it's ready. Thanks for supporting me. Notice the pattern. Short, kind, closed. No lectures, no convincing. You keep the oxygen for the fire that needs it. Now let's build your quiet routine so it lives in your muscles, not just your notes. Mornings open softly, not with a scream, but with a choice. 5 slow breaths, feeling the air change your chest. You sit and write for 5 unglamorous minutes, catching loose thoughts like butterflies before the day chases them away. Then you plan, 3 lines, no more. 1 brick you will lay, 1 small repair you will make, 1 message you will send when the time comes. You close the list and begin your deep work block while the world is still deciding who to be today. The sound is keys and pen. The light is warm. The coffee smells like a promise you intend to keep. Why it works is simple. You teach your brain that creation earns coffee, not the other way around. You associate mornings with momentum, not panic, and you beat decision fatigue to the first punch. Midday, you reset the system. You step outside for a 10-minute walk, feeling heat on your face or wind in your shirt. You drink water like it's part of your job. You stretch slowly and tell your body, I see you. When you come back, you check the messages you promised to check and answer what actually moves something forward. You choose one more 50-minute block and give it your full weight. No tabs blooming like weeds, no audio feeding you other people's goals. Just you, the work, and the hour you promised yourself. It's enough. It's always been enough. Evenings are a ritual of closure. You write down what worked, what didn't, and what you'll do first tomorrow. You put tomorrow's top 3 on a single honest line. You shut the laptop, tidy the desk, pack the bag, and turn off the tech like you're handing the keys back to your nervous system. In the quiet, you can finally hear how proud your future self sounds when they say, "Thank you for protecting us today." You go to sleep without a courtroom in your head because you stopped arguing and started building. How will you measure progress without feeding the urge to perform it? You'll keep a private scoreboard and you'll let it teach you. Inputs are the behaviors you control. Minutes of creation, pages drafted, sets completed, modules studied, messages sent in your window. Outputs are the artifacts your work produces. Chapters finished, features shipped, applications submitted, workouts logged. Outcomes are the results that arrive on their own timeline. Subscribers, grades, clients, pounds lost, revenue tracked. You never punish yourself for outcomes. You observe them and adjust your inputs. You count silent streaks, days you followed your rules. You do a weekly review that reads like a conversation with a coach you respect. Wins celebrated, lessons written without drama, experiments chosen with curiosity. And you keep a proof folder, digital or physical, where you save screenshots, drafts, before and afters, links to ship things. A month from now, when your mind lies and says you're not moving, you open the folder and let your eyes argue back with the facts. For the writer, metrics might include 500 original words before touching the internet, 1 revised page before dinner, 1 published piece per week. For the student, it might be 30 minutes of active recall in the morning, 1 practice test on Saturdays, 3 handwritten summaries of lectures. For the entrepreneur, it might be 3 outreach emails by noon, 1 product iteration per week, 1 customer interview every Friday. Quiet tracking keeps motivation private and sustainable. It replaces the dopamine of public validation with the dignity of self-trust. And because stories stitch principles into memory, let's step forward 6 months with that split screen and see what your quiet life becomes. Same person, same city, new sound. Your mornings feel like clean air. Your phone still buzzes, but it kneels to your schedule. Your body carries its stress differently. There's room in your shoulders now. On your wall, there's a calendar with more ink in the done squares than you've ever seen. Your messages are short because you're busy doing the long thing. People who used to demand your instant attention now expect your reliable follow-up and respect you for it. The old reflex to overshare has melted, replaced by a strange, private joy you feel when you press upload and say nothing. You jog at sunrise some days, not because you're trying to be a hero, but because the road is quiet and your thoughts finally have space to stretch. You come home, put your phone face down, and make progress on a project that used to scare you. You ship pieces that once lived only in journals. You laugh more. You apologize less. You are kinder, not quieter in your love. You are quieter, not weaker in your work. And you repeat a line under your breath when the urge to perform rises. Less talk, more proof. You will still be misunderstood sometimes. You will still be tempted to explain. That's fine. Let others spend their mornings polishing announcements. Let them debate strategy in public while you test it in private. Your life, lived at depth, will grow louder without screaming. Your results will go places your arguments never could. The most beautiful thing about this path is how it frees you to admire other people's wins without turning them into your taskmaster. You can clap and close the app. You can learn and then leave the room. You can keep your attention like the rare mineral it is. Your silence won't be empty. It will be full of work. Right now, make a decision you can feel in your bones. For the next 7 days, live the experiment. Today, you audit your inputs and delete 3 distractions that don't deserve access. Tomorrow, you create first for an hour. The next day, you set 1 boundary that protects your best work. Take a silent walk and meet your mind without an audience. Ship 1 small thing on day 5, a paragraph, a pull request, a prototype. Practice the 24-hour reply delay on day 6. On day 7, do a private review and plan the next week like someone who knows their focus is worth guarding. Then, if you want community without noise, come back here and write 1 sentence that says, "I'm in for 7 days," and share 1 silent win next week. Not a speech, not a thread, a receipt. Before we close, breathe with me. In through the nose slow, out through the mouth slower. Feel the city keep yelling and notice how little it has to do with your destiny. You do not owe the world a daily press conference about who you're becoming. You owe yourself a daily promise kept. You don't need to shout to be heard by the future you're building. You only need to show up again and again until the work becomes your loudest voice. Focus on what you can control. Wait before you react. Move before you narrate. And when the urge to explain rises, smile and remember. Explanations fade. Evidence remains. If you felt something here, let it become action, not applause. Like the video if this helped you breathe. Subscribe if you want a steady supply of quiet power. Share this with the one person who already knows they're capable of more. And before you go, answer the question that can change your week. What will you build in silence that will speak for you when you're not in the room? You don't need anyone's permission to begin again, so you do. The next morning is quieter than you remember mornings can be. The light arrives like a whispered reminder. You slide the phone face down, and there's a flicker of panic. What if you miss something? You answer yourself with a softer truth. If it's truly urgent, it will find another door. If it's noise, let it bounce. You pull your chair in, not with drama, but with resolve. And you open the document that's been waiting like an unwatered plant. Your hands hover, then land. The first sentence is clumsy, and you feel the old impulse to escape by checking a feed. You smile because you recognize it now. Not a command, a craving. Cravings fade when they aren't fed. You keep typing. 5 minutes grow legs, 10 minutes finds a spine. 40 minutes becomes a small, imperfect brick placed exactly where it belongs. You breathe in the rare air of an honest morning, and you realize this is what strength sounds like when it doesn't need an audience. The day keeps testing you. A message that used to hijack your focus now lands on a runway with a scheduled departure. You see it. You do nothing. The world doesn't end. Later in your reply window, you answer clearly, briefly, kindly. You notice how your body thanks you for not dragging it into every battle it didn't choose. You drink water before coffee. You take a 10-minute walk that used to be a 10-minute doom scroll. The sky looks bigger. Your mind feels like a room that has been aired out. It's not a miracle, or it's maintenance. And maintenance is the grown-up word for self-respect. Somewhere around the second week, you hear the chorus again, the one in your head that sounds like the crowd. Why so quiet? Why not share every step? Are you afraid? You let the questions hang. You remember your thesis. You are not hiding. You are harvesting. You're letting roots do their slow, invisible work so the fruit doesn't fall off the tree at the first gust of outside opinion. You whisper back to the chorus without moving your lips. I am not performing progress. I am producing it. There is a difference, and the difference will compound. There's a student watching this who has lived inside a calendar of constant distraction, group chats that feel like oxygen, notifications that masquerade as friendships. Tonight they sit with a notebook and write what they're actually afraid of: failing publicly, being called changed, disappointing people who love them, never catching up. The page absorbs the weight. They turn those fears into design choices. They decide to be reliably late to messages by 24 hours and reliably early to their own work by 60 minutes. They decide to study for understanding, not for the screenshot. They memorize in silence, recall out loud, and grade their days by inputs, not reputation. In 3 weeks, their mental fog thins. In 6, their test scores rise in a way that feels like self-belonging, not luck. When classmates ask for the secret, they tell the truth. Fewer voices, deeper work. Some nod, some roll their eyes. Either way, the next quiet brick gets laid. There's an entrepreneur here who has lived in launch limbo, always planning, always announcing, rarely shipping. They used to think more talking meant more traction. Now they experiment with a rule that feels almost rude: no public roadmaps. They keep a private doc titled Receipts, and at the end of each day, they add a single line that begins with a past tense verb: built, fixed, shipped, emailed, recorded. They share those receipts once a week with the 3 people who actually shoulder the build with them. Inside that smaller circle, feedback becomes fuel instead of friction. The internet gets the finished slice, not the half-baked batter. Revenue doesn't explode, it grows, and growth that doesn't explode doesn't implode either. It holds. There's someone reclaiming their health, and for them, silence is a gym without mirrors in the mind. No comparisons, no dopamine loops, just consistency that doesn't need claps. They stop arguing with scale numbers and start aggregating proofs. Water drank, miles walked, meals cooked at home, workouts completed even when the mood didn't show up. In 3 months, they are not transformed into a stranger. They are reintroduced to themselves. They laugh at the old pattern where a single bad day became a bad month. Now a slip is a signal, not a sentence. They practice the 48-hour rule. I can miss once, I do not miss twice. Progress, like trust, returns when you keep your promises in boring ways. Make this your inner stance. You are allowed to be boring while you become extraordinary. The internet rewards novelty. Mastery rewards repetition. Being boring to the feed might be the most exciting thing you do for your future. Wake, write, work, breathe, build, boundary, repeat. The algorithm can't clap for what it can't see, but the results will. Results are the loudest voice in every room. You're going to face pushback, not just from strangers, but from people you adore. When you stop being available to everything, it can feel like you are available to nothing. That's not true. You are becoming available to the right things. So you start speaking in sentences that guard your focus without wounding your relationships. You say, I'm in a season of fewer words and more work. If I go quiet, assume I'm building. You say, I value you. I'm also protecting a window in the mornings where my phone is off. If you need me urgently, call twice. You say, I love hearing your ideas. I'm not taking feedback this month. I'll bring you my results when they're ready. The people who truly love you will adjust. Some will not. Let their reaction teach you who was here for your spark versus who needed your spotlight. What about at work, where politics often reward the loudest person? You learn to replace performative updates with evidence-colored sentences. Instead of, I'm thinking about a new approach, you arrive with, here's a prototype that reduces load time by 20%, here's how, and here's a 1-week plan to validate it. Instead of drowning in meetings that breed more meetings, you propose a quiet pilot, a small measurable test in a 1-week sandbox. You put your name on outcomes and your ego on a leash. Your reputation shifts from always talking to always delivers. Some will still try to drag you into arenas that burn time. You will not confuse being included with being effective. Your calendar becomes a boundary device, not a museum of other people's priorities. You schedule your creative window first. You place the deep work blocks where your energy naturally peaks, even if that means saying no to quick syncs that cost you your prime hours. You use short, clear phrases that are honest without apology. Heads down between 9 and 11. I'll review at noon. I can do this right or I can do it fast. I'm choosing right. Expect it Thursday. I'm not available then. Here are 2 options that work. Practice this until your throat stops tightening when you hit send. Confidence often arrives disguised as clarity. The focus method deepens. Filtering inputs becomes intentional curation. You unsubscribe from good but misaligned newsletters because great attention can drown in good advice. You narrow the mentors you follow, not because others aren't wise, but because your brain is a garden that can only grow what it can tend. Owning your lane looks like choosing to be bad at what doesn't matter so you can be excellent at what does. It's not laziness, it's leverage. Creating before you consume evolves into a ritual your body recognizes. The smell of coffee becomes a trigger for keyboard rhythm, not for comment wars. Uninterrupted blocks begin to feel like sacred appointments with your future self. You treat them like you would treat a meeting with the most respected person you know, because that future exists and they are watching. Speaking deliberately turns into a quiet artistry. You learn to say less and deliver more, to ask sharper questions, to end emails at the point where they are most useful. Brevity, backed by proof, is a kindness. You'll have days where everything falls apart. The alarm fails, the kid gets sick, the server dies, the mood goes missing, and the urge to narrate it publicly flares. You can write the post in your journal instead. You can let the page become the therapist you don't have to pay. Then you can do the smallest next right action a tired version of you can manage. 10 minutes of honest effort beats 2 hours of performative complaining. You are building a life that can survive your moods. You are building a rhythm that doesn't require perfection to progress. This is how consistency is born, out of mercy, not martyrdom. Let's go deeper into the proof folder because this is your private antidote to the poison of not enough. Every file is a stone you place on the path behind you, so you never have to wonder if you walked it. Name things with verbs and dates. Draft Chapter Seul 2025-0820. Prototype V0.3 2025-0822. Workout 032 Push 2025-0823. Keep screenshots of messy midpoints alongside polished finals. Save rejections as badges of an honest attempt. One day you'll see a pattern in what you once called failure. Tuck compliments into a text file titled Kindness I Forgot. On low days, when your brain tries to sell you a lie about your momentum, open the folder and let the evidence make the argument. Your memory is a storyteller. Your archive is a judge. The private scoreboard grows up too. You move from vague aspirations to measurable practices that you can count with your fingers. Inputs first, always. A writer tracks morning words and editing minutes. A designer tracks focused Figma time and shipped iterations. A small business owner tracks outreach emails and product improvements, not just sales. Outcomes are noted, not worshipped. You can be proud of a day where outcomes dipped if your inputs were faithful. You can be curious about a day where outcomes spiked without assuming you've become a genius. Curiosity keeps the data honest. Pride keeps the path warm. What about your identity online? The slow metrics philosophy saves you. You stop judging yourself by a 24-hour graph. You look at 90 days. You stop chasing virality like a lottery ticket and start building a body of work that compounds like savings. One great piece a week for a year is 52 artifacts the next version of you can stand on. A quiet creator is not a ghost. They are a gardener. They plant, they water, they check the soil, they rest, they do it again, and the harvest comes in seasons, not in likes. Some of you carry a resentment heavy as lead. The feeling that you had to be loud to be seen, that silence was imposed on you by rooms that wouldn't listen. I won't romanticize that pain or pretend the world has been fair, but I will offer you a way to convert that lead into a foundation. Choosing silence as a strategy is not the same as being silenced. One is theft. The other is craftsmanship. Craft is how you take back your voice without begging for a microphone. Craft is how you become undeniable. To the part of you that longs to be understood, I hear you. To the part of you that is tired of fighting the internet every morning, I get it. To the part of you that wants proof you can hold in your hands, it's coming. If you do the work when no one is clapping, remember the line we planted together? Less talk, more proof. Write it where your eyes land first thing. Tape it to your kettle. Make it your lock screen. Say it under your breath when an argument invites you to spend the fuel you need for building. Let's travel forward again, not 6 months, a year. You walk into a room where the old you would have performed. It's a reunion, a quarterly review, a family dinner, a launch party. The air is still the same, the chairs are still cheap, but you are different. Your sentences are shorter. Your eye contact is steadier. You answer questions with examples instead of promises. What have you been up to? Used to be an invitation to monologue. Now it's a door you open with 3 words and a link. I shipped this. You laugh more easily because you're not auditioning for approval. You excuse yourself at 9 because your morning belongs to you. The version of you who used to stay late to prove something watches you leave and nods. They understand now. Peace is louder than performance. There will be days when your quiet will be misread as arrogance. There will be people who confuse boundaries with betrayal. They may try to guilt you back into the role you outgrew. Breathe. You are not responsible for managing other people's discomfort with your growth. You can be gentle without surrendering your progress. You can be kind without being available to every ask. Repeat after me. I do not owe explanations for a life built on commitment. I owe commitment. When you're tired, anchor yourself with a tiny ritual. Close your eyes and picture the desk at sunrise. Hear the soft click of your phone going into airplane mode. Smell the coffee, feel the chair, see the cursor blinking. Patient, unjudging. That scene is your sanctuary. Keep returning to it. If your day collapses, return for 5 minutes. If your weak phrase, return for a morning. You don't have to start over. You have to start again. There is a difference, and the difference is freedom. Let's personalize the quiet even more. Write a single sentence North Star on paper where you can see it while you work. Make it specific to your season. For the next 90 days, I will draft, revise, and publish 1 long-form piece every week without announcing the process. This quarter, I will rebuild the onboarding flow, reduce churn by 3 points, and document every change before sharing results. I am training for a 5K I can finish without stopping. No photos until race day. Read it daily. Let it be the simple truth you return to when the noise suggests 100 different detours disguised as opportunities. Build a boundary with your own mind. When it tries to catastrophize, you counter with micro-commitments. I can do 10 minutes, 10 pages, 10 reps, 10 outreach emails. The mind respects numbers more than it respects rhetoric. Show it something it can count, then count again tomorrow. This is how confidence grows, quantified, not fantasized. Notice what silence reveals. You start to hear the difference between hunger and boredom. You start to see the gap between urgency and importance. You start to feel how much of your anxiety was borrowed from people who are not responsible for your destiny. In the quiet, you recover the taste of things. Music sounds like music again. Meals taste like effort again. Conversations feel like presence instead of performance. The world didn't get softer. You got stronger where it counts. There's a trap you must keep sidestepping. The weaponized opinion. This is when someone uses just being honest as a free pass to poison your focus. You don't have to debate. You can respond with a sentence so simple, it doesn't need a period to be powerful. Thanks for the perspective, I'm going to keep building. Then you do. Your consistency will dull the edge of their commentary more effectively than any argument ever could. Make room for delight in your quiet life. Excellence without joy becomes brittle. Let your silent walks be scenes with detail. Wet leaves sticking to your shoes, the smell of rain on concrete, the neighbor's dog that forgets to bark when you pass often enough. Let your reading hour be a rebellion against the flicker rate of the feed. Let your workouts be a conversation with the part of you that survives storms, not a punishment for existing. Joy stabilizes discipline. Joy keeps you